Welcome back to another episode of The Last Zebra. I'm your host, Ugo Ezema. As always, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Next guest, I have the pleasure of introducing Miles Williams.
Yeah, what's up?
Welcome to the show, man.
Happy to be here, man.
I appreciate you.
I always enjoy like just connecting with you, period. And
Yeah.
so being able to do it in this format is pretty dope.
I love it. I love it.
Let's do
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. I'm Miles Williams. I'm an educator, believer. I'm a dreamer, builder. I have a lot of different hats. My favorite people in the world call me Principal Williams. So I'm a principal of a school, elementary school, here in New Orleans. I've been in school leadership for 7 years, so I love that. I'm a former student athlete, and so like the way that I look at the world, the way I look at just everything is kind of shaped in that vein and that through that lens. I have a social work background. I'm a social worker by training, so got my undergrad degree and my master's in social work and social policy. But always felt like schools were the place that I wanted to be, and that's kind of who I am and what I do now. I love kids. I love like the idea of like learning and growing and seeing, especially the younger kids, like seeing them be able to learn and grow so quickly.
Yeah.
And just seeing them develop. Like my kids currently are the kids who I started with were in pre-K, about to be in fourth grade, and I like be able to see them from like barely knowing letter sounds to like writing complex paragraphs. Like it's a dope thing. But then also just to see them as humans just evolve. Like I don't have kids of my own yet, so being able to see that is a cool process, man. And then also have families trust you with the people who they care about the most, right? And know that they're safe and that they're taken care of, and that someone else cares about their development. Like that's a cool process. Real cool process.
It's a very, very good intro.
Thanks,
to who you are.
Thanks, man. I was there's a lot more, but
I can imagine.
but that's a good start.
Where are you from?
See, that's a loaded question, man. There's a lot. So I was born in Connecticut, actually.
Wow, where?
Danbury, Connecticut.
I don't know why I asked that. I don't know why I would know.
I was born in Danbury, Connecticut. I've lived in, I think, 9 different states now. So Danbury, Connecticut, Columbus, Ohio, Marietta, Georgia, Douglasville, Georgia, Southern Maryland. That's where my mom's from. North Carolina, South Carolina, Illinois, and now New Orleans or Louisiana. So live in 9 states.
Why all those? Anytime someone says that, I always think military.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
No, my dad was in sales. And so like when he got better jobs or promotions, we would go to different places. And so I stopped. I went to like 4 different schools before like 5th grade. And then middle school and high school was in South Carolina, college in North Carolina, grad school in Chicago, and then my work life's been here.
When you think home, where's home?
Wherever my family is. Yeah.
Where are they now?
At the time. So my sister lives in Charlotte. My sister who lives in Chicago right now. My mom lives in Maryland. My mom and grandparents live in Maryland. And my dad lives in Marietta, Georgia. So home's whenever I go, whenever I'm not here is when I'm at home. But really, no, like home really, that's a great point a question you bring up, because like home is like a feeling for me. Like it's not a place. And so I think last night, right, it was a perfect example. Like all my people in the same place. I feel safe. I feel well. I feel loved. Eating good food, watching the game, listening to music, like that. Those things feel like home to me. And so, yeah, I don't claim a place anymore. I'm from the Carolinas, but don't really claim a place.
Are you into comics and comic movies?
I like them.
So the reason I'm asking that is Thor, the movie. What you just said reminded me of a line in one of the movies. You just, I guess, kind of like recapping that. Basically, home is not a place; it's a feeling.
Yeah.
In Thor, I want to say Ragnarok. So the third one.
Yeah.
Asgard gets destroyed.
Uh-huh.
And Thor is distraught about it, and his dad, who's about to die, kind of tells him, his dad is Odin, and he tells him Asgard is not a place, it's a people. You know, and often I resonate with that because I haven't I've also kind of hopped around. Mine being Nigeria, Jamaica, Louisiana, and then several other places because of
like
medical.
Texas and
Yeah, well, not Texas.
well, no,
but
you're in Texas.
Baltimore.
Baltimore was one.
I was in Baltimore for a while. Chicago, Pensacola for a little bit.
Your brother was in Texas.
My brother was in Texas. He was in Houston. Yeah. And so I attach a lot of home to different places, but it's a feeling and a people. Home for me is a people and a feeling.
Yeah.
Right now it's Louisiana. I'm very attached to Louisiana. Yeah. How did you get here? How did you get to New Orleans?
So a couple of my college teammates, Hakeem and Blake, were here starting a football program. I was in grad school. It was my last year in grad school, and was like, I need a job. He was like, hey, you trying to coach? He's like, what are you trying to do in school? We can find a role for you. Like, yeah. And came down here, checked out the school, and it's the idea of being with my boys, doing what we love. Like, why not? And so been down ever since. Education,
obviously, is something you're very passionate about.
Sure.
When did that passion begin?
I was always a good student. I enjoyed school. I liked learning. I come from a line of educators. So my mom was a teacher. She was actually my first Black teacher in 7th grade. My grandmother was a counselor in schools for like 50 years. Even further than that, like just educators, doctors, people who like really just enjoyed learning. And then when I was 16, I was, so my school was a huge high school, like 5,000, like Texas-sized high schools, right? Football was huge. And my junior year, I had like late arrival, so I didn't have to come in school till like 11, 12 o'clock. And so I needed something to do with my time at the beginning of the day. And so I started doing Big Brothers, Big Sisters and mentored a little kid. And it was just cool. Like I felt like I was good at it. Like the kid enjoyed me. I enjoyed being with the kid. I enjoyed being with his peers. And like his parents like gave me a lot of validation around like, hey, his behavior's changed. He likes going to school now. He looks forward to connecting with you. And I was like, yo, like if I can make this one kid feel like this, I would love to be able to do more. And then got to college and was trying to be an education major. And they told me I couldn't do that because of student teaching hours. It conflicted with my practice schedule, with our training schedules, et cetera. And so our travel. And so I was like, let me get as close to education as possible. And so focus on social work and just realized that was a way that I could be able to be connected to the community, connected to schools, not necessarily teaching, but like how am I able to support? And then the rest is kind of history. Ended up teaching 2nd grade for a year in Chicago. That was like looking back on it as a school leader now, I'm like, that teacher probably shouldn't be teaching. I'm gonna put him on an improvement plan or something. Like make sure that this teacher's like, let me get my eyes on him and coach him up a little bit.
You're talking about you?
Me, yeah. Like I just wasn't trained to be a teacher, right? Like I knew the content, but like knowing something and teaching someone how to do something are two totally different things.
What does that mean to you then? So when you look back to those couple years in Chicago, what were you doing how are you not teaching the thing you know that is such a stark difference from what you're doing now?
I think I'm teaching the same things that I know now. Like I was creating an environment for kids to be able to learn. Yeah. Right? Like I was trying to make sure they were safe. I was making sure that we were kind to each other. We were very intentional about what we did. And it was a joyful place to learn. Like those are the things that I like have been consistent. The academic rigor and like the academic excellence probably was not there. Like I did the best I could by far, right? But like knowing what I know now and seeing the teachers that we have, I'm like, I can't teach like you. Like I still can't teach like you, you know, and learning from them every day. But like, yeah, I wasn't that. I wasn't that. And like, and I'm glad that I found like my space in schools though, right? Like I know that I might not necessarily be the best instructor, but I know good instruction and what it looks like. I know what it should look like. I know how to bring in resources to a school community. I know how I want this place to feel. I know what systems and structures need to be in place for us to be successful. And that's a skill set that a lot of people don't have. Right. And being able to do that with kids, adults, older folks, younger folks, black, white. Like that's a talent. And I'm grateful to have life experiences that have kind of put me in a position to be able to do it.
So you played football, obviously in high school and into college.
Yeah.
What position did you play?
Safety, headhunter. Take your head off.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, take your head off. Take your head off. I don't care who it was. I don't care if my grandmother had pads on. I'm taking her head off.
Why is it that safeties always talk like that? I don't care. You know who else I heard say that? Ryan Clark.
Yeah.
Ryan Clark, I heard, because he's a safety,
dude.
right?
Yeah, good dude.
Yeah. I've heard him say that. Why are safeties so aggressive, bro? What's that about?
I feel like because I'm not aggressive, like my I could be a completely different person
on the field.
Like the person that you want to be sometimes, like just like the worst version of yourself, you can be that on the field.
What drives that? Why would you want to be?
I think we all have that. I think we all have it.
Is it like what's that movie? Where they let crime go. You know what I'm talking about? Where they let crime go for one day?
Yes, for the 24 hours.
Yeah,
The Purge.
Is that what that was for you?
No, I don't know about that.
You just want to be the worst version of yourself?
Not the worst, but more so just like
a superhero version of you.
Yeah, like Batman.
Yeah.
I like that. I put the helmet on and I'm just like, it's different.
Did you play any other sports?
Yeah, I played football, I played baseball, I played basketball, golf.
You play golf?
Ran track, yeah.
Do you still play golf?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You play?
I mean,
you play though. You know how to play. You know the rules
I
of the
know
game?
how to play. I know some of the rules of the game. I enjoy golf, but the golf, it tests my character, you know?
Yeah, everybody.
And so I'm not consistent enough to say confidently that I'm not even a bad golf player. I'm whatever is below bad.
Yeah.
But I like being out there. I don't know if that makes sense.
Bro, you're a golfer. You're a golfer. I was talking to Blake about this yesterday. I was like, yo, there are like everybody who plays golf that's not a professional sucks. Everybody's horrible. But like it's the process. Like, I am either the best version of myself out there or the worst version of myself. And there's nowhere in between. Like it tests your mental toughness. It tests like your character in ways that like no other sport does.
We've had a couple golfers. So one of my favorite people, Amber, Dr. Hardman. She's an internal medicine pediatrics, med-peds. Yeah. She's about to go into allergy and immunology as her fellowship.
Nice.
And she is a golfer, like a real life proper golfer.
Yeah.
And she was talking about how, and we spoke about the same things, about how golf is, there's so much to golf in terms of its parallels to life, and I appreciate that. But, and it really tests me. Golf is particularly frustrating and particularly rewarding in a very different kind of way that not many other sports kind of give to you. Yeah,
I'm glad that like so many Black folks in particular are having more access to it and like enjoying it more now. Like me and my boys have started an annual golf trip. Like we go once a year.
That's dope.
Pick a random location. Like last year was Houston. Year before that was Scottsdale, I think. Yeah, Scottsdale, Arizona.
Scottsdale is a golf place, right? A lot of people go there to play golf.
Yeah, play golf. I played some terrible golf out there, but like so much fun being with your boys.
Yeah.
Like home, you know? Being outside, competing, eating, drinking. That's it.
Nice. Yeah. How did you get into football?
How did I get into football? So I played baseball and basketball were my two sports growing up. Huge Kobe fan, huge Derek Jeter fan. Like those are the two. But I loved watching football. Like that was a thing. Played Madden all the time. I was just a big sports guy. Like that was my thing. My dad played football at Navy. And I was a pensive kid. I was scared of a lot of things. And then in high school, I had a decision to make. I was going to stay in a small private high school that was all white. I had me, my sister, and my mom were only Black people in the school, K through 12. And I had a decision to make, go to high school if I wanted to stay there or not. And football was one of those things that I was like, why not? I should try it.
Yeah.
Was like, my dad was hype. He was like, I'll let him make the choice, but like I want him to try it. And man, went out there, hit somebody hard one time, and I was like, oh yeah, I like this. And that was it. That was it, bro. I was athletic enough to do it. I had a build and a frame for it. I was good at it. Just stuck with it, man. Football is one of the greatest games in the world.
Why?
Because all the people that have to come together and do their job specifically to the best of their ability. Like if they do it to the best of their ability every play, like it's a successful play. But like if you don't, so like the exact opposite can happen. And like it's physical, it tests your mind, like tests angle. Like there's so much to it.
Were you able to play all 4 years at Elon?
Yeah, all 4 years. Was captain twice. Academic All-American. Member of the good All-State Good Works team, which was pretty cool.
Big dog.
Yeah, man, enjoyed it. Like,
enjoyed it. Did you ever think about football beyond college?
I think when I came into college, I thought about it. And then like year two, I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna happen.
Why?
I got hurt my junior year, tore my labrum in my hip. Did it again the same offseason. So I had surgery 2 offseasons in a row. And then also just like seeing what the guys got to do to keep your body
right,
bro. Nah, it wasn't gonna happen. I was like, you know what? Let me go in the classroom, bro. Let me go in the like I would love to be able to play at that level, but just like I know a bunch of guys who ended up going to the league and like they're just freak athletes, man. It's different type of people, and I wasn't that. I found where I needed to be. I found where I could talk about the game. I can coach the game. I can play video games. I don't need to be beating my body up like that.
So you did your undergrad in social work. Mm-hmm. Were you able to actually work as a social worker?
Yeah, so I did. I worked. Well, my first year was a youth center. So I had internships at different places. So first year was at a youth center. Second year, I don't remember where I was my second year. Did some stuff with United Way. So like figuring out like grants and like grant proposals and stuff. I don't remember. So I basically had one every single year. I don't remember what I did, but was looking at different ways that I could engage with kids, engage with communities. What does it look like? Got some cool grant writing experience, and then wanted to be able to see how I could focus in policy as well. So when I went to grad school, was thinking about school policy a lot and social policy to figure out how do we close achievement gaps, how do we close opportunity gaps, but then also like how do we affect policy in a way that allows for Black kids in particular to get what they deserve and what they need. And love that thought exercise.
Where did you go to grad school?
University of Chicago.
Okay. Yeah. And so this was a master's in
social work.
In social work. Gotcha. And after that, you came. Where did you go after your master's? Oh, that's when you came.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right after, yeah.
What was your primary role in New Orleans? Was it the coaching or was it like you were a teacher?
I was the manager of restorative practices was my title. So focused in like behavior, discipline, that type of stuff. That's the stuff that I really enjoyed. At the high school level, in a school that was growing and wasn't like established, didn't have a lot of structures and systems in place at the time. I was like a glorified bodyguard, bro. Like as much like I told you, like on the field I like tackling people. Yeah. In the hallways I don't like tackling people, bro. That's not like breaking up fights and like that type of stuff wasn't. I felt like I'd gotten to a place mentally or just like where I was thinking about systems and structures so intentionally in academia, right? Like, but in practice, none of those things were really happening, and so that was like really irritating for me. And so then I wanted to figure out, okay, how do we build those foundational skills with like younger kids so that when they're in high school, they have the coping strategies, they have the skills to be able to not be beating each other up, you know? And not saying that's not gonna happen, but like, how do we limit that? And so being able to go to elementary school felt like the right switch. The
opportunity to be a principal, which you are now.
Yeah.
You've been this now for the better part of 3 years.
Yeah.
And when that opportunity came up, how did you feel about it? And what was your what was your initial thoughts going
Yeah.
into that position?
When I was 16, I was like, that's what I want to do, right?
Really?
I was like, I want to start my own school one day. That's what I wanted to do. And so when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, I want to do it. I'm not ready for it, is what I kept telling myself. I want to do it. I'm not ready for it. And just because for so many different reasons, right? Like I hadn't taught for a very long time. Most principals have taught for an extended period of time.
And you're still very young.
Very young, right? At the time I was 26, 27. 27. And, just, all the imposter syndrome things where you just like don't think that you're worthy, don't think that you're ready, but like still care a lot. And it got to the point where I was like, who better than me to figure it out? There's nobody else that's a better fit for this school to try to tackle this. Nobody else is like jumping up to try to do it. Let's do it, And I've learned so much about myself in this process, bro. Like it has been the most challenging and like trying time of my life. And it's also been one of the most rewarding times of my life to like really like look back and see where I was, where the school was 6 years ago when I first got there to where it is now. Things have been put in place that like I had a hand in, or like that was like my idea. Like that's a cool thing. And it's seeing it impact kids and families, and like families walk away and be like happy or proud of the places that their kid goes to school. Like that's a dope thing. It's a dope thing.
You mentioned challenges. What were some of those challenges that really resonated with you?
Yeah.
That you feel like aren't as challenging now, or maybe you've been able to kind of course correct so much so that they're no longer hurdles.
Yeah, I mean the level of discipline you have to be able to run a school effectively is real. And I was not as disciplined as I wanted to be the first year. The second year, I had a plan in place in my mind, and then I got punched in the face. Like so many things happened that like kind of deterred that. And so now going to year 3, I'm like, I know exactly how I want to happen. I know exactly what I don't want to happen. I know exactly what I want to happen in the event that the thing that I originally said is not going to happen. Like there's a plan for everything.
Right.
And there's still going to be things I'm not going to be ready for. But at the same time, like I just feel so much more ready to experience those things. I think one challenge, so my school is a pretty diverse, one of the most diverse schools in the city. It's reflective of our population of the city, probably a little bit more Black than that. However, like very socioeconomically diverse, very diverse in terms of just race, gender identity, which is really cool. And for our kids, like it was I was really intentional when I first got here about how do we create, and the school was already like this before, but like I was building on it, was like, how do we get all these kids from diverse backgrounds, bring them in the same space with different varying needs, and then everybody get what they need, right? That's not an easy thing to do, but we found a way to allow kids to be themselves authentically, celebrate that, acknowledge that, and then get them to respect each other's differences in an intentional way. And so now the challenge as a principal is, because our staff is reflective of our student population, is how do we get adults to do the same thing? And that's a hard thing to do because you're older than me. You're a white woman who's older than me, who's from somewhere that I'm not from. You have this, you might be as liberal or progressive as you want to be. However, in your mind, I'm still a Black man, or I'm either Black to you, I'm a man to you, I'm your boss. And so like, you can pick whatever I say, you can pick it apart however you want to, right? And that's been a challenge. But then also just like getting everybody what they need, because everybody deserves what like their basic needs met. But then also when we at a place that is like resource scarce, how are we making sure that the most marginalized kids get what they need and what they deserve, while also like making sure that the families who are like the loudest, which are typically more affluent families, are also getting what they feel like they need, and also telling them no when they're not getting what they want. Right? That's been a balance and a challenge, and I've enjoyed that part. The staff culture, like adult culture stuff, has been a challenge in that there's only so much time in the day. We're all only there for the kid. Like, I'm very clear, like, we're here for kids, but also, like, I'm here for you too. Like, it's important for you to be cared for and loved and feel valued and feel seen. And like, how do you make that a systemic thing? That's been a challenge, but it's been fun.
What has been some of those systems that you've put in place to kind of foster that kind of, to foster and promote that degree of diversity in such a way that everyone, regardless of your background, ethnicity, creed, that we're all pulling in the same direction? What are some of the primary systems that you've put in place to kind of help foster that?
Yeah, one thing, like, our school is really clear about our mission. Like, this is what we do. This is who we are. Our mission is to advance equity. And so, like, if you're not doing that, or we're not focused on kids, like, or you're not here to be able to move kids forward, particularly focusing on Black children, like, this might not be the place for you, and that's okay. So, like, we're very intentional about the culture we've created. And then we're also very, like, values aligned. Like, our values are where we go back to for everything. We have 5 core values: respect, integrity, empathy, curiosity, and courage. And so, like, everything goes back to those 5 things. And we're very, very, very intentional about that. One of the things that I've realized that was lacking in previous years to now is we haven't had many opportunities for adults to connect with each other across grade levels, across, like, position, et cetera. And so this upcoming year, we have 4 committees that I felt are going to be, like, at the core of, like, what we do, and move our school forward. And so one is staff joy. How are we making sure that this place is a positive place for people to come to work, that feels like a emotionally safe place for people to go to work, and that people are being acknowledged and validated for the hard work they do. That's the first one. Second is community engagement. We have so many people who want to be able to support what we're doing. They just don't know what we're doing. So, like, how are we connecting with community partners? How are we bringing people in? How are we also externally, like, supporting them? Because, like, we have some of the best kids in the world, and people need to know that and see that. But then also, our kids need to be able to see the dope people who want to support them, right? So that's 2. Third one is staff wellness. That's the one that I'm, like, most passionate about, bro. It's like, this work is really, really hard. How do we make it sustainable? The summertime has been my time to be able to really take care of myself, work out consistently, eat right, like, feed myself with the things and people that I really enjoy. So, like, how do we systemically, like, make that a thing, that the work is sustainable and that we're taking care of ourselves first, but then each other in the process. And then the last is student experience, right? So what are we doing to make sure our kids' experience is the best it can possibly be? From extracurricular activities to, like, what are the content that we're giving them, the books that we're bringing in, the speakers that we're bringing in, how we're doing that. And so grounding our team in those 4 things, them opting into one of those things, you're going to be, if you're passionate about one of those areas, someone on our team you're passionate about one of those 4 areas, you're likely not going to be with the same people that you're with day to day. That's great. How are we so now we're intentionally segregating our school, but then now we're doing it in an area of your interest. Let's dive in deep into that thing and work and collaborate together to get to that end. And so I'm excited about that structure in particular. I think that's going to be one that's going to bring us to just a different place as a community, but then also push our school and our student experience further.
I think of teachers as people who, and there are teachers in all walks of lives.
Yeah.
But in general, I feel like teachers, educators are people who shape the lives of their students or their apprentices.
Yeah.
And the principal is one that does that for the teachers, that shapes the lives and work of teachers. Yeah. In your experience, how do you feel those 2 roles are very different? Because you're both leaders. A teacher is a leader.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? A teacher is a leader.
Yeah.
And a principal is a leader of leaders.
Yeah.
How do you feel that is different from, how do you feel those 2 roles are different from each other? Even because let's say you're a teacher of adults, right? Yeah. In college or in higher education. Yeah. How is being a teacher different from being a principal?
It's a lot different. As a teacher, you're responsible for kids, right? And 28 kids in a classroom is difficult. Don't get me wrong. You can close your door and you're dealing with them 28 kids and those 28 families. Like, you don't have to know about what the person next door is really doing to you. You don't have to think about nothing but just those 28, right? But so, yeah, so let me name being a teacher is hard. Like I wouldn't even necessarily compare like the difficulty of our jobs, but it is different, right? So I want to make sure I state that first. So yeah, you can close your door and you ain't got to worry about it. Also, teachers probably don't get bathroom breaks. Like they have to ask for a bathroom break. I can typically just go wherever I want to, feed myself, et cetera, right? But the part about being a leader of adults is not only do I have to set the stage and set the vision, expectations of what's going on in our school for kids, families, and then like staff. It's also like there's so many other factors that play into everybody coming to work that day, right? So like you're a single mom who has a student with high needs or special needs. He doesn't go to our school. You have to be at a meeting for him once a month, right? It's important for you that you're at school. It's important to me that you're in your kid's life and involved in your kid's life. And I also need you to be here for these kids who are expecting you to be here.
Right.
And so like, how do I communicate to you that I care about you and I care about your kid, and we also care about these 28 kids in this class?
Right.
That's a tough balance, right? Or there's so many things that go into a decision being made, and then a lot of times when difficult decisions, they come to me. Most of them come to me, and I have to know that I need to make the best decision for the school and for most people, and knowing that ultimately everyone's not going to be happy, and I'm not going to be able to explain myself for why I made the decision we made, but they just have to trust that it's the best one that's being made, and knowing that I'm going to get their critique, right? Or that I'm apologizing for things that I had nothing to do with 90% of the time.
Right.
Like, I was talking, I remember a specific example of this, and I think that's been the one of the most challenging things early on for me as a school leader was that I was apologizing for teachers, and I'm like, I had nothing to do with the situation, but like, I'm gonna stand and take it. But then after I'm done talking with this parent, I gotta come talk to you and be like, this can never happen again, right? So like one was, I think a little girl got punched in the face at recess or something, right? Whoever was watching her at recess wasn't watching her at recess. Did not communicate home that the kid got punched in the face. Kid goes home, I got punched in the face. They're like, well, how come teacher didn't tell me this happened?
Right.
There's no documentation of it. If I didn't hear from my kid, I would never have heard about it. And, listen to it, hey, listen, you're right. That should not have happened. You should have been communicated with. Going forward, you will be communicated with. This kid and this kid will not be together at recess anymore. We'll make sure it's documented that XYZ happened. Because all parents care about is, 1, did you hear my concern? 2, is my kid safe? 3, how's this not going to happen again?
Right.
And, take it on, listen to it, whatever. And then after having a conversation with the family, and the parent was irate, like was cursing, upset. And afterwards, like left calm, et cetera, and was like, thank you for listening to me. He was like, doctors don't get sued because they make mistakes. Doctors get sued because they're assholes. and that stuck out to me. He was like, the way that you respond and how you like receive that information is critical. And like, it's okay if you make a mistake. If you didn't, like, if you were able to receive that feedback and create a plan forward, like we can work with that. And like that stuck with me because that's something that like teachers very infrequently have to like deal with the brunt of a parent without support.
Right.
Right. Very often I'm stuck out there kind of by myself, even for things that I'm not responsible for, to them and like for them, I think about like, for example, our lunch vendor this year was terrible. Like our food vendor was trash. And like, I'll say that and like I want them to know they were trash. Like to the point where lunch was still getting received late at like in April, in May. And I'm like, y'all had all year. The times haven't changed. The menu has not changed that much. Kids need to eat on time because it throws off everybody else's schedule. Right. If the kid's not eating on time, then the teacher doesn't get to get their break on time. The teacher can get their break on time. They're upset. They deserve to have their break. If I want to make sure they get their break, so I'm having someone cover for them, then they're getting pulled out of a meeting. And if I have to go cover for you, then then I'm not doing what I need to do. It's a domino effect, right? And so, like, I remember every day a teacher would text me saying, "Hey, where's lunch? What's the update on lunch? Et cetera, et cetera." And I'm like, "Yo, I'm sorry that this is happening." But then also I have no control over the food vendor. Like, that has nothing to do with me. But I'm like apologizing on there. But it's a lot of responsibility. But then also when it's working, it's just how it's supposed to be, right? Like, it's not like, "Oh, Mr. Williams, thank you so much for fixing that." It's like, no, it's supposed to happen this way, right? And so just really, really, it's been really grounding for me in terms of like really doing things without expecting something in return, and like genuinely not expecting anything in return. And I'm glad that I'm getting to a place where I'm like really valuing doing something out of just the kindness of your heart for the benefit of a large amount of people, you know?
So having responsibility for things that you're not necessarily responsible for, which is a difficult place to be.
Yeah.
I did not know, what's this food vendor stuff?
Okay, so like charter schools, we have to contract out like everything. So our food vendor, so like the person who works in our cafeteria, there aren't staff members of my school. So I can't hold them accountable.
I did not know this.
I can't hold them accountable to anything, really. I mean, I could tell them, I give them feedback, but like,
you can't fire them.
I'm not their boss.
Right. I did not know this.
The transportation, so the busing is not centralized. So we have a bus contract, and so the buses that we use, like, I'm not in charge of the person who rides the bus. The person who rides the bus isn't beholden to those kids other than transporting them from here to here. And so it puts us in a tough spot when the bus is 30 minutes late and the parents upset, like, "Hey, where's my kid at? Why is this bus late every day?" And I'm like, talk to the bus company. Parents don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear talking to the bus company, right? So now I got to talk to the ops guy. Ops guy's got to talk to the bus company. Bus company's got to talk to the, like, there's a lot of different bits and pieces that are happening, but the parents don't care about that. They don't know it and they don't care. It's, "Hey, why is my kid not here on time?"
Right.
Or, "Hey, there's a fight on the bus. My kid saw someone get a fight on the bus. What are y'all going to do about it?" I'm not in charge of the buses. I'm not riding the buses. I don't know what's happening. I don't have any staff members on the bus. And like, we got to make sure that these kids get home safely. So we got to figure out a plan or a system in place to make sure that these kids get home safe.
Is that by design of charter schools that a lot of these things are outsourced?
New Orleans. So New Orleans public schools is the main culprit in my mind.
I did not know this. The impression I have of school, which is the schools that I've gone to, is excluding college, but I went to school in Nigeria and Jamaica, and unless I just have a gross misunderstanding of this, is the school lady, not the school lady, but the lunch, the cafeteria staff are part of the school.
That's most places. That's most places. New Orleans is unique in that way.
And I learned recently, we had Blake on the podcast, Blake Thompson on the podcast, and he was explaining the charter school system and how that came about here, especially post-Katrina here in New Orleans, and how that has radically transformed. It's essentially the culture of education here in New Orleans.
Yes.
And just now, again, I'm learning. I didn't realize so many key components of what makes up a school is being outsourced through that system.
A lot of stuff's outsourced.
Wow.
A lot of stuff's outsourced. And that creates, like, we're all fighting over the same resources. So if we want to get the best food vendor, we want to get the best transportation, we have to have the resources to be able to do that. My school is a single site. So
what does that mean?
We are our own school, right? There's like, are you familiar with KIPP? Or KIPP or collegiate or...
I think I've seen like logos. Yeah.
The KIPP is like a large organization that runs schools. So like you'll have 8 KIPP schools here in the city, right? For example.
Gotcha.
And they're all run by like KIPP. So
Gotcha.
they have a bunch of resources. They're funded through, I think Microsoft might be one of their funders. Don't fact check me on that.
Okay.
But they have big funders, right? Mm-hmm. And so the resources that they have are different. They may have like a lot more staff members to be able to allocate to focusing on curriculum or focusing on whatever. But if we're fighting with a school like that over resources like money, or if we're fighting over like a bus company, we can't afford to pay millions of dollars on buses. I actually found out an interesting fact that we went from non-air conditioned bus. So first off, it's not mandated that you have air conditioning in your buses. Here.
In New Orleans?
No, it's not mandated. So I did not realize. So we had buses without air conditioning.
Oh my goodness.
For a while last year, like early in the year. And parents were like upset, reasonably so. Our kids are hot. It's like 90 degrees outside, et cetera. And the bus company we were working with at the time didn't have air conditioned buses, or like they charged like a ridiculous amount to have an air conditioned bus. That's wild. So we had to, what we transitioned to was, okay, the buses that have like the longest routes, we're gonna make sure they have air conditioning. And then the bus company was trash. And so we had to switch to a different bus company, and they have a lot of air conditioning buses. But I'm like, if we're a country that says we care about kids, we care about education, and kids are going home in New Orleans on buses without air conditioning,
is wild.
That's nuts. However, whose kids are riding on the bus? Affluent families aren't having their kids get on the bus.
That's a great point.
They're carpooling. They're having a nanny come pick them up. They're walking. They're riding their bikes to work or riding their bikes to school. And so Black and brown kids are sitting on hot non-air conditioned buses in August in New Orleans. And you're 4 years old, you're 4 years old, your parents don't get off work till 5 or 6 o'clock. You start your day at you probably wake up at like 5:30, 6 a.m. You get on the bus, you're on the bus because you go to a pre-K through 8th grade school. You're a 4-year-old with 13-year-olds on the bus. You go through your entire school day. You're tired. You get on the bus and you don't get home till 6 o'clock at night on a non-air conditioned bus. Come on, dog. Like that's the stuff that I have no control over or I can advocate for. But like from a systemic level, like it seems like such a small thing, air conditioning on a bus, but like that changes a kid's entire experience of their day. You wake up and you hot and sweaty on the way to school. You're hungry. You have a terrible food vendor that's not good. You end up, you're in a classroom with too many kids. You have a learning disability of some sort, so you're already struggling like developmentally. You didn't go to daycare you didn't go to pre-K because pre-K is not mandated in Louisiana, so you don't have to come to school till kindergarten. So you've never been in school before. You're a pandemic kid, so you didn't even get the opportunity to really socialize with people, period. So now you're in there, and then so we're expecting you to go from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 4 the entire day. The food that you got was trash. The bus was hot. You are overstimulated because you're around all these different people, and we're expecting you to be normal. Come on, bro. In New Orleans? Come on, bro.
That's wild.
Right? And so, like, what are we doing to make sure we're mitigating as many of those or eliminating as many of those barriers as possible? And, like, that's the work that I'm committed to. And then also making sure that your academic experience is an excellent experience where you're learning and able to critically think, ask the right questions, have the vocabulary, work across difference. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, and I love it.
Before you even get to school, you have these hurdles to overcome, not to mention the hurdles that is education in and of itself.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you feel the actual academic part of education can be bettered? Once you've because with the advent of technology, AI, the need to know is going to become less important, I feel, than the ability to apply what you know.
Right.
So the way I think about this is, and correct me if you think this is wrong, memorizing the list of the United States presidents is not as fruitful in 2024 as much as, whatever, knowing that information, which is now readily available, literally in instants, and applying that knowledge. I think the application of knowledge is going to become or should be at least, of higher focus.
Yeah.
How do you feel education can conform or navigate through the advancements in technology, especially with the advent of artificial intelligence?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I something I've been thinking about a lot the last couple of days in particular, because I've been able to have some more time to like use ChatGPT myself and like play with different things, and I think that the technology is a beautiful thing. I think it's a really cool thing and it's a great tool if you're able to know how to use the tool.
Yeah.
I think that our job as educators is to help create critical thinkers. Our job is to give people the foundation to be able to be learners, like lifelong learners. And I think the addition of AI is how do we teach kids the tools that they're at their disposal and how to use them. I think, for example, not knowing memorizing the list of U.S. presidents probably is not the best use of anybody's time. However, like, it's important that you know who the presidents are, what the president does, and how that impacts what you do.
Right.
And so I think that's a critical thing. I think that's why I enjoy elementary school in particular, because like you have to learn how to read, you have to learn how to write, you need to learn how to like numbers, like the foundational stuff, like that stuff's not going to ever change.
Right.
You can't learn that through artificial intelligence.
Right.
You need to know these basic things to be able to be a learner, to set you up for that. And so I haven't thought about it beyond like elementary school and like that's the scope of my work. But what I do think about it is like, for example, like social media. I think I grew up at the perfect time, right? Where social media wasn't a thing, cell phones were becoming a thing. The computer was like I was able to see life before it and see how it is now, be able to benefit from it. But like that's all the kids know, and the information overload for them, like them trying to decipher what's invaluable information and what's not, like what's true information and what's not. That is a really like tough and delicate balance. And I don't know what our job is as educators to help them decipher like what's important and what's not. How do you get to what truth is and what isn't? That part feels like a challenge and a tricky thing. Like I'm seeing kids in 3rd and 4th grade having social media accounts, right? And like what they're being exposed to and what they're talking about. And what they're talking about is just different, bro. And I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing that social media exists, but we have not, as a culture, we have not caught up to give kids the skills social emotionally, or just like as people to be able to navigate all of this, right? Like social media is a very negative place. Like the comment section is a very negative place. It's a funny place, right? It's a hilarious place. Like I lie to you not. I'm always looking to see the comments, but then also I know when people are saying horrible things in my comments, I'm like, that's not okay, right?
Right.
And so I think that being able to teach kids like how to be good people and also how to be good people online is really, really important. It was kind of tangential, but I think it was connected in that like technology is a tool and we have to teach kids how to use it properly. And that's a tough thing to do when we're learning it. It's happening so fast.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I believe now more than ever, education should be the primary tool, the primary goal of education. Yeah. From my eyes, from my perspective, would be to create critical thinkers.
Yeah.
And what that means, how would you define critical thinking? What is it? What is the art of critically thinking or thinking critically, how would you define someone who's a critical thinker? And what are some of the ways, some easy ways to learn that ability? It's a craft that you have to keep honing.
Yeah, there's no easy way to learn critical thinking. However, I think a large part of it is asking the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
A huge part, like curiosity. Okay, let's tie it back to the values, right? Curiosity, I think that's really important. I think understanding that your side is not the only side, right? And like be able to see both sides of it, and like not necessarily have to agree, but know that someone else may have a different viewpoint, and like I think some of the most intelligent minds are those who are able to see both sides of it and then still be able to argue their point. I think, critical thinkers are people who have the courage to be able to see something and explore it more, and then also like trust themselves and their ability to be able to explore more and learn more and like or not understand. And then I think critical thinkers also are people who are like typically like good readers and writers, are like consumers of knowledge. And it's hard to consume knowledge or know what knowledge to consume if you haven't been taught how to do that.
Right. Yeah. I would also add, especially in this time when there is a cornucopia, an abundance of information, and
so much.
Again, accessible at your fingertips.
Yeah.
That critical thinking is navigating through, like you said earlier, navigating through that, identifying what is true, what isn't true, what are opinions, what are facts. In the modern world, I feel like so many things that are being blurred. So the idea of truth and facts and alternate facts, I don't know what that means. I think critical thinking it has to be the way we navigate through the abundance of information and data. And I think it's also the way that we're going to navigate the progress of technology. Right? So we have to be able to, analyze and come to conclusions, sound conclusions based on truth and fact. And
What evidence do you have?
Yeah. What evidence do you have?
What evidence do you have?
Yeah. And is that evidence based on, reality?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not being promoted or uplifted by the culture
Right.
at all.
Right.
At all.
Right.
And I think also like you see like kids, especially on social media, that's their entertainment throughout the day, right? So you get out of school, you pull out your phone, you're on the bus, you're sitting there watching whatever is going on in your mind. So you see, or whatever people are feeding you, and you're like looking in the comment section or whatever, and you think that like whoever's talking in the comments is like actually tied to something. Like it's not tied to something, right? Like so you're just seeing these negative words or even positive words, whatever. But you're like, you choose what you believe, And if you don't have a filter for that can be really dangerous.
I saw a study recently about schools that completely ban phones.
Yeah.
To no surprise, their students do better.
Oh, for sure.
So the phones are completely banned on campus.
Yeah.
So no phones are allowed.
Yep.
So not even no social media, like just straight up, no phones are allowed.
No phones.
Their students do much, much better.
Yeah.
And it's a non-insignificant improvement.
Yeah, that's where we are at this point. Got to be that way.
Yeah. You are somewhat famous.
Somewhat. I don't know what defining fame is.
Can you tell my audience, hi, Mom.
What's up, Mom?
Hi, Mom, and myself, whenever I watch this later. Why are you famous?
I'd like to think that I'm a strong, like thought leader, you know.
I'm not laughing because you're not. I'm not laughing because you're not. You are. You are.
I like to think because it's of a lot of good works and good deeds.
Yeah.
But actually, no, I was on a reality TV show. I was on Married at First Sight, Married a Stranger. It's like, what, 5 years ago now?
Was that for real?
Oh, very much so.
For real?
Oh, no, very much so. Like, very real.
That's wild.
Yeah, like one of the realest things I've ever done in my life.
Can we talk about it?
Yeah, let's do it.
How did you even get that opportunity? How did that happen?
Yeah, so one of my best, I don't know if you met Woody. You met Woody before?
I don't know. I probably have. I just don't remember.
Yeah, one of my best friends. We coached football together with Blake and Akeem. And one day, I was bringing him home one day, and he was like, hey, man, the show called Married at First Sight reached out to me. I want to do it. And I was like, what? He was telling me the premise of the show, marry a stranger. There's 3 experts who match you with your perfect match. You got 8 weeks to decide if you're going to stay married or get divorced. And I was like, bro, you're crazy. That's nuts. He's like, well, I'll put you down. The producer's going to be reaching out to you. I was like, bro, I'm not answering, right? So producers are reaching out to me. I don't answer. Producers are reaching out to me. I don't answer. A couple weeks go by, and they're like persistent. And they're like, I think you'd be a good fit for the show. You don't have to sign anything. Like, just show up, whatever. And I was like, it's low lift. Why not? I don't have to sign anything. I didn't sign anything. And then we get to, so we had to go to a hotel on one random weekend. And it was me and him. And originally I was like, I'll go, but I'll go as like your friend. Cause you had to bring like a person with you to like speak as like a character reference or whatever, right? So we go there and they have you, it's like, it seemed like it was like 50 dudes, maybe 100 dudes there. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, it's not serious yet. Right. So I do an interview with him. I do an interview with myself. We fill out a bunch of questionnaires, like hundreds of questions about ourselves, like psychological things, our family background, our preferences in people, what we like, what we don't like, religion, all type of preferences, right? I was like, cool. So then we get back in the room and it's like 25 of us, right? We're sitting down in a chair and we're sitting down in chairs and we're sitting there talking, and then the experts walk in and they're like, you guys are the finalists for Married at First Sight. Out of you 25 of you, 5 of you are going to be married in 2 weeks. And I'll look around.
Oh, wait, all this happened on the same day?
Same day. I look around. I look at Woody. I'm looking at these dudes. I said, hey, we about to get married, bro. I said, we about to get married.
You said it?
Yeah, I said, bro, we about to get married.
So you looked at the people around you,
bro,
like,
I said, we getting married, bro. I said, I promise you we getting married. He was like, you think so, bro? You think so? I said, bro, it's going to be crazy. So we go like 2 weeks later. We interviewed a couple more times. They came out of the crib, whatever, did a couple interviews and stuff. And they told us to go to the school and like do a workout or something. And I was like, are they filming us working out? At minimum, they're telling one of us we get married. Maximum, they tell both of us. So the expert comes, sits us down, tells Woody, like, hey, you're about to get married. And I was like, oh, congrats, Woody, whatever. She's like, Miles, we didn't find a match for you. And in my mind, I'm like,
yes.
All right, cool. I get to be at the wedding. I just enjoy myself, whatever. And she's like, psych, we got a match for both of y'all. And I was like, oh, snap. Like, it's real now. Like, it's really real. And in my mind, like, at the time, I'm 26 years old. I didn't have a problem, like, finding women. You know, that wasn't a thing. But, like, at the same time, I'd consider myself a relationship person and wanted to build a family, have a wife, be a husband, et cetera. My grandparents at that time, I think, had been married like over 50 years, you know? And so like wanted to have that. My parents were divorced. And so like, it was really important to me that if I did, I was gonna do it the right way. So committed, like fell like all the way into the process, man. And then, you know, got to invite 20 people to the wedding. And that's hard to do, to get 20 people to a wedding and like 25 people in a wedding in like 2 weeks. None of my family lives here. Well, that was so hard.
So how did you explain to them? How did you explain this to them? It's like, yo.
You know, like looking back, I don't remember it for real, but I remember like teasing. It was like Thanksgiving. I was teasing them. I was telling them, I was like, yo, have you heard of this show? We watched a couple episodes together.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I might be on it. They're like, no way. Well, I was like, nah, like, I might be on it for real. and then it, I think when it was announced, like I called them like on camera and was like, hey, this is what happened. Like I'm getting married in 2 weeks. And I don't know what their reaction was on camera, but off camera, they were like, what the? Oh yeah, we can. Can I curse on? I don't know if I curse.
You might as well.
Yeah, okay. Well, what the heck? They were like, what? Like what? Bro, what? Why would you do that? And so then I'd tell friends and I'd tell everybody, bro. And I told people, but I also was trying not to tell people.
Yeah.
It was a lot, bro. It was a lot. It was
Did
stressful.
they pay for the wedding?
Oh yeah, they paid for everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And so I thought that was a pro. I was like, shoot, this works out. I don't have to pay for a wedding.
Life
like,
is good.
Like the next one, we can have a party with everybody, you know, big time. And yeah, man, it was something. The hardest part, not the hardest part, but the thing that made it the most challenging was this was February 2020. February 14th, 2020.
So
February 15th, 2020.
Yeah.
Month later, so we go on a honeymoon in Mexico. Beautiful honeymoon. Which is also weird when you're like looking back on it. It's weird to go on a trip out the country with somebody that you haven't met,
Right.
and then them be forcing love on you. You know,
Well, cameras are there the entire time.
oh, everywhere.
When you met her at the altar?
At the altar, it's terrifying, bro. I was terrified.
What was your first thought?
But I wasn't like the whole process. I wasn't scared at all. Until like the day of, I started getting a little anxious, but still was like chill most of the day.
Yeah.
And then I get to the altar. I was up there for like an hour and a half, bro. Maybe 2 hours, staying there by myself.
Before she showed up.
Staying there looking at her family that I don't know none of them.
Yeah.
And then my family, like this, I'm just up there sweating, bro. Sweating. And like,
where was the wedding at?
Nopsy.
Oh, okay.
Nice venue. It was smooth. And I'll never forget this. So my producer at the time was asking, she's like, do you have any like preferences in marrying somebody? Like, I'm like, we've asked this before. And she's like, well, like how would you feel if she was white? And I was like, I mean, I said that I wanted to marry a black woman. You know, if she was white, she was a great person. Like I would see it through, whatever. Yeah, I'd see it through. And she was like, great, cool, go down there. And I was like, what?
Oh, this was the day of.
This is the moment before I walk down the aisle. I'm like, why would you ask me that question right now?
That's
right?
suspicious.
Right? So I walk and I look over to the left, like to where her family is, and like two of her friends were like white people.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, maybe I'm marrying a white woman. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, which would have been fine for me, but that wasn't what I said my preference was. But I'm like, also like, why is she asking me? Right? But then I'm like, what is she doing right now? Right? So I'm standing up there for like an hour, like, I'm like, okay, this is her mom and dad. Her mom and dad are both black. Okay. Her cousin, I think, is black. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm like, what does this person look like? I'm looking at her mom. I'm like, her mom's pretty. Okay, so she's probably pretty. Like, what does she look like? How old is she? Like, there's so many questions. You're sitting there, and as you're sitting there for like sweating for 90 minutes, you're like, bro, like, who is this person?
Right,
What's going on?
Right.
And so that was a terrifying thing. And then, like, see her walking down the aisle, like, was nervous, but like, I felt like a lot of that stuff just kind of like went away, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful girl. You could tell she was nervous.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just sort of be the best version of yourself at that point.
Well, obviously you're not married.
Yeah, no longer married.
So, like, what was that during the show or after the show when obviously it didn't work out?
After the show.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
so y'all...
We were married for like 3 years.
Oh, so it was a genuine effort.
Oh, yeah, it was a genuine effort.
Gotcha.
Yeah, a genuine effort. I think I learned a lot. We learned a lot about ourselves, learned a lot about each other. I mean, to be honest with you, man, we weren't set up for success from early. You know, I don't think it has anything to do with
either of y'all.
Yeah. Like things came out where like she found out who I was before we got married. So like she had these preconceived notions of who I was, who I wasn't. Like didn't think I was her type, and so she already had that in her mind. And like I didn't find that out until the show aired. That she felt that way.
Oh, because then you watched
bro, right? So
y'all were together when you watched the show.
Yeah, bro. That was horrible. Horrible. 10 out of 10 don't recommend. So first, like that happened, right? Then there's something else that happened before that. I don't remember what the second thing was. Oh, no, she wasn't going to be on the show. It's like she wanted to back out of it. And like, they didn't let her, but like,
they're like, nah, you in it.
They're like, nah, you signed a death row.
You gonna marry this man. You understand?
He a good dude, bro. You marrying him, right? So like, that was the second thing. So it's like, she was already like, not feeling great. Yeah, not feeling great about it. Then the pandemic happens. Then, she was working in the hospital during the pandemic. Like, so at that point, we're just surviving. Like, I'm like, how do I take care of you? How do we take care of each other?
Yeah.
When the world shut down and we're living in this new apartment together, we merged all of our lives together.
Did they pay for the apartment?
Yeah.
Oh, they paid for all that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, damn.
Yeah,
Even for the 3 years?
No.
Oh, okay, just for the beginning.
Not 3 years. But yeah, man. So like that was challenging. Then, like you go, like watching the show, right? Like they didn't paint her in a positive light or true to who I knew her to be. And so that was hard. I've been very open about mental health and mental wellness. This part I'll never forgive the show for. I just won't. But like during our honeymoon, I was very just like, I was originally going to talk to her about it. And I want to talk about it off camera, but the producers was pushing me to do it. And I was like, there's probably some value in me sharing my story, and was just open about some of my battles with depression and like what that's looked like for me. And, she responded as positively as one could, right? She was like, thanks for sharing that with me. Like, is there anything I can do to support you? How can I be of, is there anything I can or I should or shouldn't be doing? Like all these different things. Asking like really intelligent questions was not like the best way that someone could respond.
Right.
And when we watched the show, they made it seem as if she was like, it was a red flag, that it was unattractive, that like it was gonna be a burden or a hindrance to our relationship. And that like when after that moment happened on TV, her character was like, they were like, oh, and also the thing that also happened is, so they paint me as this young guy ready for love and all this different stuff. He's a school teacher, or he works in schools, he loves kids, like all these great positive things about me. And then I open up and I'm sensitive. He's good talking about his emotions. And then I tears with her, and then she's like, it's a red flag. Everybody's like, oh, F her, like, and like they were it was bad, bro. And like having to, like after that episode, we stopped watching. It was like episode 1 or 2 or something like that. And
so, but the entire season is y'all.
The entire season was us, but we didn't watch. I'm saying we stopped watching after that, right? Because like people on social media are saying stuff. We can't say anything because we're on TV. Like we don't know if we're married or not, so we have to stay quiet on social media. People are blasting her, so I want to support her and make sure she's taken care of. Also, like want to see myself on TV, but like I'm not watching that, and you're feeling like this. Like I'm not doing that. Our best friends were married at the same time, and so like they were getting a lot of love and support and attention like that they deserved, and so they're having a really positive experience, but we're having this negative experience. We're getting compared to each other because we're only Black couples. Like there were so many different things, man, and it was a challenge, man. It was hard. It was hard, and while also trying to genuinely foster a relationship.
Right.
Then you got our families are involved in our relationship. Our friends, my friends never met her before because all my friends don't live here, so they're like, they're seeing her on TV. They're like, hold up, what's up, right? Then I decided on decision day, hey, we're gonna stay together. And they're like, why are you staying? Why? Oh, everyone's like, why are you staying with her? She treating you like that? What? Like, what's up with you, right?
And you're like, that's not who she is.
I'm like, right. And now the rest of our relationship is me constantly defending and helping repair her image, and like this is not who she is, you know? And then we go through the challenges that people have in relationships, you know, like her deciding like, you know what, I don't want to do this work anymore. And then me being like, you know what, like you ain't got to work. Like I'll take care of us, you know? Me transitioning to being a principal, which was like the hardest thing that I've had to do. And like how, like work being such a big part of who I am and what I'm doing like all the time. And like trying to figure out how we continue to maintain our relationship in that process. Like that was hard. And so there's things that I wish that I would have done differently. Like in retrospect, I think there's things that she definitely could have done differently, and hate that it ended, but definitely, I mean, I hate that it ended in that. I think it was best for both of us. However, like the way that it ended, I think could have been a lot better, and I wish the best for her. Got nothing but love for her, and just like a lot of respect for everybody who went through that process. But that was the hardest thing that, like, I could not wish that on. I would wish that on nobody.
Wow.
I wouldn't wish that on nobody. But then my boy Woody and Amani, they're married, 2 kids.
They're good.
2 kids under 2, yeah. Happy for them, proud of them.
Are they here in New Orleans?
Yeah, they're in New Orleans.
That's amazing. I can't wait to meet them.
Yeah, man.
So what's next for you in terms of your principle? You're doing something you essentially manifested as you know, other than opening your own school.
Yeah.
What's next for you?
That's a big question, man. I got some big dreams.
Yeah.
Got some big dreams. I think the thing about like setting a goal and reaching it is like when you get there and then it's like, now what? You know, like I think I thought that was a really lofty goal. Mm-hmm.
And here you are.
And now I'm here.
Yeah.
And so now it's how am I really good at this? And then once I'm really good at this, what's next? I don't know quite yet. You know, what I know I want to be true is I want to be walking what I feel like is my purpose. I want to have fun doing whatever I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I want to be benefiting other people when I'm doing, but then I also want to have a good balance. You know, in the next 5-10 years of my life, I want to have a family, start a family. I want to have children, and don't want to be working in a way that's not sustainable for me to be able to do that. I think that my job is really important to me. Mm-hmm. A lot of responsibility. I take it really seriously. And I think that working as hard as I do is hard for a relationship. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to be a very understanding and like it's a sacrifice to be able to do it the way that I want to do it, you know? And so I think that I want to be able to be in a place where I'm able to have a nice balance between what I'm doing and what brings me joy, so that the people around me can also benefit from it.
You mentioned big dream. What's the biggest dream? The biggest dream, the most audacious one.
Oh man, I don't think I've gotten that far. But one of the things I've been pretty open about. I've like not been saying it as much because I don't want to. Like I'm fighting being held accountable to is I want to be an author. I want to write a book. I want to write a children's book, and I want to write like a book that I feel is like in the, I guess, self-help genre of some sort. Like I think there's a quote by Brene Brown that talks about, I'm not saying it correct, like verbatim, but something to the effect of like, what you've been through is essentially like someone else's survival guide. And
I love that.
I feel like I've been through like a lot of just random stuff in a very short period of time, man. I've done like, we could sit here for hours. I can tell you just random crazy stories and things that I've been exposed to, and I want to be able to give someone else a survival guide, you know, especially as someone who's struggled with either mental health issues, someone who's navigated being a Black boy, someone who's navigated relationships and love, grief and loss, like those type of things. And so I'm putting it out there to manifest, but also to hold myself accountable to like, hey, I said I was going to do this, so I'm going to do it. That's one thing that a project that I'm really excited about, like diving into, and I've like put on the back burner because of work, but like need to dive into more intentionally.
I'm looking forward to the book.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
And when it's done, I'm gonna come back on here and be like,
and we'll talking
about the book.
Yeah. Miles Williams.
Thank you, sir.
It's a great pleasure.
Man, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. That was good. That was fun.
Hey y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode of The Last Zebra. As always, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. We have new episodes coming out every Tuesday on all your podcast platforms and on YouTube. Looking forward to seeing you all on the next one.